got a gun, got a big gun, got a gun, it's not a real one, and all you ever think about is running away, all you ever think about is trying to stay away from me.
Speaking of rap, we need to get like a rap to start off these episodes.
That's what I said. It would be funny if it all of a sudden just came on. It was like NWA.
I should have surprised you. I should have surprised you and like started the episode off with some like A$AP Rock or something.
A little death metal.
No, you've heard A$AP, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, I need to make sure you've heard A$AP.
No,
especially being as big of a rap fan as you are. Andrew White. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta, listen, you can't be white and a rap fan and not like A$AP Rock.
Listen, ironically enough, I can't stand white rappers for the most
Yeah.
part. There's a very small...
So you got... Okay, so I'm going to name as many white rappers as I can.
Okay.
I think I have 3. A$AP Rock, Lil Dicky, and Eminem.
Oh, no, I can name more than that.
Okay, who else you got?
Let's see. Who do we got? We got Haystack. We got Machine Gun Kelly.
Stitches.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Stitches?
That fucking dude barely counts.
Yeah.
What a freak that guy is. Christ.
Who's the guy with the big, giant afro thing? He has the big... It's not afro, but it's like...
Oh, like Modest Yahoo?
No. Oh, my gosh. What is his name?
There's also Mac Miller, who I'm not...
Oh, Mac Miller.
I don't fuck with
him. He got
though.
really commercialized.
Yeah.
He was a guy who, although, to be fair, when he did that like Donald Trump song, it was, by the way, long before Donald Trump was elected president, so that song held up. Good for him. It probably got that song probably has like 1 billion plays on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, that was brilliant.
Just because it was called Donald Trump.
Right, sure.
But anyway, that was before he was really even much of anything. So that was like kind of right at the beginning there. He's a Pittsburgh guy, right?
Yeah, I think
It was him and Wiz Khalifa are both Pittsburgh guys.
Yet another reason to hate the little prick.
Yeah, just because of Pittsburgh.
Was you talking about Action Bronson?
That might be who I'm talking about.
He's got the big beard. He's another.
That
one.
might be who I'm
He's
talking
actually
about.
one of the few other white rappers I actually enjoy. He's from New York, so he's got the whole. He sounds just like Ghostface Killah.
It's kind of like running backs in the NFL. You know what I mean? There's one or two. You know, Now we got Christian McCaffrey, so he's now the great right hope of the NFL. Let's see.
There are no white running backs ever in the NFL.
Slow as hell, man. Last one was Peyton Hillis that really did anything.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Peyton Hillis was running back for the Giants, I think.
That's a rare mention.
Yeah, right.
Peyton Hillis.
Listen, this is the last time. The last person to mention Peyton Hillis is one of Peyton Hillis's family members. So,
that's a fact, Jack.
I'm the first person since his family to mention his name. It's your birthday today, Fred.
It is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
33 on the 3rd.
33 on the 3rd.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. 33,
You're an old bitch, man.
I'm getting old, dude.
Yeah.
Listen, seriously, man, I was talking to somebody about that today. I remember turning 21. Like, you always hear these old people tell you that time flies as you get older. If anybody out there is younger than 33, I'm here to tell you that ain't no bullshit, Jack.
The worst birthday of my life was 21.
Yeah, it was pretty high on my list of fucked up ones, too.
Well, so...
as far as it goes.
And this isn't even... I mean, listen, it was brought up organically, because Keith made fun of me for bringing this up the other day, but I was in the military. I turned 21, not only in basic training. I wasn't even in the military yet, I wasn't even through training. I was in basic training.
He was just a pissant.
So not only was I in basic training, but it was during what's called FTX, which is where you go out into the field for a couple days, and it's one of the only times really in basic where you're actually in a situation that could go awry. Really, everything is very, very controlled.
Sure.
But when you're in an FTX, you're away from a lot of things. You have very limited resources. It's all very intentional, right? So whatever food you have is what you have for a couple days. So you got to make it all last, and it's pretty cool. It's a cool experience. But anyway,
sounds a little intense.
Oh well, and so it's my birthday, the second day we're out, and I didn't want anyone to know.
Right.
I had no intentions of anyone finding out. I sure as hell didn't tell anybody.
Sure.
Well, I don't even know what happened. Somebody found out. Or maybe the drill sergeants already knew. I don't know. They absolutely made my life a living hell the entire day. Every time we would go anywhere, they would make me stand up in front of people, and like the drill sergeants would be like, "It is his birthday today. everybody needs to get up. You know what I mean? Like, just on the spot all day, everywhere I went, like, basically, like being sarcastic, like, oh, he's a king. Guys, he's a king today, okay? You know, like, he's a king. It was just awful. In any type of detail, like, people be digging a trench, they'd be like, well, no, he's a king today, guys. He doesn't have to do that. Yeah, which is way worse.
Oh, yeah. That makes all the guys like
you. When you're watching someone dig a trench that we're going to piss into or something, like, it was awful, and people were super shitty to me. I'm like, it's not my fault. I gotta say, I don't want to do this.
I am not about that life. Thank God this is not South Korea. I don't know if I can handle my 2 years in the military. Dog, they'd have to put me in the kitchen somewhere or something.
Oh my God, it was awful. Man, we had a whole conversation before we started that I wish we would have recorded. We're gonna get some MMA stuff.
Okay,
but I do want to get to the part about podcasting. So we just started this podcast off talking about everything other than MMA.
Right.
And I was telling you earlier about our fight companions, how, I hardly ever talk about fighting on our fight companions.
Right.
We barely talk about it.
Right.
The breakdowns obviously stay on course.
Sure.
And for the most part, like any other show I do. But really, the fight companions, and then this show, we generally talk about MMA, but last episode, we kind of delved into politics. And we had a conversation about that, because that's not normal, right? It's an MMA podcast. That's what you do. But I think one of the things that I was starting to say to you, and I'm like, well, let's just record so we can
have this conversation.
Yeah, let's have the conversation on the podcast. Because anyone who's doing a podcast or wants to do a podcast, regardless of what it's on, I mean, I think this is advice that you should heed. Like, there are so many podcasts out there. So you're not really selling the podcast itself, especially in this style. If it's some type of serialized thing, then it's different, right? Like literally serial, right? You have to focus on the narrative.
Sure.
You have X amount of episodes in a season, so on and so forth.
Right.
But this is a free-flowing thing. So at the end of the day, we're not selling Loudmouth MMA, right? We're selling Kyle Steele, and we're selling Fred Kirby, and we're selling Zach Eldridge, and we're selling Sean Ihaz, all the guys who are on this podcast.
Right.
We're selling personalities, and that's it.
Absolutely.
I mean, really, we're selling the personalities. And if you're tuning in every week, I promise you it's not because of the great MMA content. Like, that's not what it is. You're tuning in because, for whatever reason, you like to listen to me talk.
No, sure,
and you like to listen to Fred and Zach and Sean. Like, that's why you're tuning in. And you're interested in our opinions in MMA, and maybe you're not so interested in the political stuff or whatever. But I think if you can get fans who are willing to listen to you talk about MMA and Donald Trump and rap music and whatever else, like if you can get people who want to listen to all phases, you're building a fan base as opposed to, getting these kind of tertiary visits,
Sure. You want people to kind of tune in for your shit. I mean, listen, there's a million different MMA podcasts out there. I don't listen to very many. The few that I do listen to are definitely, I fuck with Luke Thomas. Shout out to Luke Thomas. I watch his shit. I watch his shit because of him. Yeah. He's not the best breakdown guy in the game. He doesn't have more connections to Ariel Helwani. I just like his particular brand of analysis. So when some shit jumps off, I'm usually like, okay, let me go fuck with Luke. Let me see what he thinks about this. That's what you predominantly would want people to want from your podcast. If something big happens in the fight game, like, oh shit, I wonder what Kyle and Fred think about this.
Yeah, and I know
what their take will be.
I know for me, like, for the most part, I will take unique opinions on stuff. I don't, for the most part, unless we're breaking down fight, that's where I really struggle. Right. I really don't like doing the breakdown episodes, honestly.
Yeah.
But you have to do them because that's part of the brand and that's part of what we do. And I wish I could just tell Sean to just take it and run with it by himself because I really don't like doing them because that's not my style. Like, because you get stuck in an echo chamber. It's really simple.
Everybody ends up saying the same thing.
When you're talking about news and shit, like, I'm not in an echo chamber almost ever.
Right.
Like,
everybody has a very distinct opinion.
Yes, like I can draw hard lines on shit, and you can draw hard lines on shit.
Sure.
When you're doing breakdowns, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah, and it's funny that those are some of the higher rated episodes because those are some of the more boring, tedious ones to talk about. Like, he's got a good leg kick. We all fucking know that.
Yeah, it's people just before I started doing a podcast, I was one of those people that listened to 3 and 4 breakdowns.
Right.
I listened to Bookie Beatdown. I listened to Half the Battle. I listened to the breakdown. I don't even listen to the show anymore. I don't think it's around. Well, Bookie Beatdown's not around anymore either. I can't remember the other one I used to listen to. And then Top Turtle, which I don't really listen to that podcast anymore either. But anyway, like, I listened to those breakdowns every single week.
Right.
And so I was one of those people. And I think it's because you're trying to see where everyone's matching up for your bets and for your DraftKings and stuff.
Fair enough.
You're,
Maybe
you're trying to see, like, but again, echo chamber. So
right,
even if they're all
right.
matching up, it's irrelevant.
Right.
You know, like, you have to be able to get out of that echo chamber.
Right.
So at some point, like, I'm listening to shows because I want to hear where am I disagreeing with everybody, because that's the line I should take.
Right.
Because it means that this thing that I'm thinking is outside the echo chamber.
Right.
You know, for me, it was Struve. I thought Struve was going to win, and I felt like everybody was saying Volkov. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to draw a hard line on Struve. Well, Struve got his ass kicked.
It was a close fight, though. It was
Sure.
a good fight.
It was a good fight until he got his
that
ass
point.
kicked, yeah.
Like right until the point that things
Yeah.
start going south for him.
So, but it's like, so that's going to happen. You know, that kind of thing is going to happen when you draw. But this is why I will not be one of those people who gloats when I get shit right. Right? And I will also be the first person. I'm doing it right fucking now. I admit all the time when I'm wrong, because that's the whole goddamn point. If you're not wrong, then you're not actually doing anything. In order for you to be wrong in the first place, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. People are not willing to do that. That's why I have such a hard time getting people for my breakdown show. I'm not trying to talk shit, but people, especially handicappers, they don't want to come on a fucking breakdown podcast because they realize they're going to be wrong a lot. If you're breaking down an entire card, you're going to miss at least 25% of the cards. You're going to miss.
No doubt.
And they do not want to put themselves out there like that because it's going to ruin their credibility, even though it shouldn't.
No, because
It sucks.
especially with something like MMA, man, where it's so fucking unpredictable. There's no way to tell.
Everybody fucking likes to pretend, like all these MMA handicappers, man. They
Oh,
all
well,
pretend
sure.
like they all got that goddamn
Sure.
crystal ball.
Sure.
Guys, it's a guaranteed play. It's a guaranteed. No, it's not.
Nothing's
I
ever-
promise you.
nothing's
People
ever
are getting
guaranteed.
punched in the face.
Yep.
It's not guaranteed.
Yep. I mean, listen, man.
I use language on the breakdown like, guys, trust me. Like,
Sure.
But I'm also like the first person to say, by the way,
don't ever
nothing's
listen to
fucking
me.
guaranteed.
Yeah, everybody says shit like that, but there's nothing guaranteed. I tell you what, there's an upcoming fight with Matt Brown and Diego Sanchez.
If you think you know what's going to happen in that fight, you're nuts.
Well, and listen, I do. I would be
You're
willing.
nuts.
I would be willing to say that I would bet my left nut that Matt Brown throws Diego Sanchez a vicious beating.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what. If that little scrappy Mexican prick comes out there and pulls off the unthinkable and chokes Matt Brown out, I would not be surprised, because this is the sport that we live in. All indicators point to Matt being younger, bigger, stronger, on a better run. Like, I would imagine Matt Brown should be able...
Arguably similar chin, though, at this point.
Yeah, maybe, but I still think Matt's probably got a little bit. Diego, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is the only dinosaur from like the first 3 seasons of The Ultimate Fighter that's still around, let alone the first one. I know he's the only guy from the first season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, has to be.
Diego is long in the tooth at this point,
Yeah.
and I don't think he's big enough for 70, and Matt Brown's not a particularly small 170, so I just think that's a horrible matchup. But that's my point, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a surefire slam dunk for Matt Brown, and he might come out and get fucking thunderstruck in the first minute and a half, and it wouldn't really surprise me, because that's how much you know about MMA, man.
Yeah.
I can point to all these indicators on why Matt Brown should win the fight. Bigger than shit, Diego takes his back in the first 5 seconds, a wild scramble happens, and he's choked unconscious. That's how the shit goes.
And all this is to say, I mean, part of the reason why I'm even bringing this up is the shit that happened with Robin Black. I don't know if you followed that, any of that stuff.
I fuck with Robin Black, but I don't know what happened.
Well, he basically he spent the last, month and a half, 2 months, demeaning boxing fans for not thinking that the game was going to be changed by McGregor, and posting videos about how McGregor was going to knock out Mayweather, and how
he took that hard of a line on it.
Oh yeah, well he didn't just taking the hard line is fine.
Sure,
that's a non-issue.
He went ham.
He started talking down to boxing fans.
He went full retard.
Basically saying, like, you guys just don't understand.
Oh.
You guys don't know what you're about to see.
You never go full retard,
You're not being open-minded. You're not being understanding. You're not opening your minds up to the history that's about to happen.
You know what's hilarious about that is that a lot of them are probably, I can see Floyd Sr. going, you ain't opening up your mind, dummy.
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting here trying to talk down to us, but you don't realize what's about to happen to that dude.
Yeah. And guys, by the way, Floyd Sr. did not call in. That was Fred. Fred did a flawless. That was not. I looked at my phone to make sure that Floyd Sr. hadn't just called in, and I wasn't.
Listen,
it was sitting on the line
Floyd
waiting.
Sr. was one of my favorite parts of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever met a dude that bullshitted less?
Bro, him and Connor.
Like Floyd would probably still on Connor if they were having a drink at a bar or something. Like Floyd Sr. I seen Floyd Sr. go off on Luke. Or Brendan Schwab said he was trying to do his thing, and Floyd Sr. was going, "You don't know shit."
Yeah.
Brendan said he had to eventually stop. Like, dude, I'm trying to sell the fight.
Even
out.
Brendan Schaub, again, like predicting, like if you truly thought that McGregor was going to win, again, that's fine.
Sure.
Take lines.
Sure.
Don't be afraid of being wrong. Take hard lines.
I didn't.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's
Right.
literally ever, for any reason, anything ever wrong with being wrong.
Sure.
It doesn't matter.
Not in the fight game, baby.
No, but
This is what we do.
But here's what you have to do. One, you need to maintain humility throughout the entire process. I think that's where Robin Black failed.
Yeah.
Brendan Schaub did not fail in that area.
Fair enough.
He did
True,
not
true.
fail in that area.
Don't be
He took
condescending.
a hard line on Connor, but I don't think at any point he was really condescending about it.
True.
And I don't think he was talking down to boxing fans and that kind of shit. I'm talking down to boxing fans right now because they're fucking awful, and I'm tired of dealing with them still. But anyway, the second thing that Robin did is that he didn't. It's not that you have to own up to it. I think that's the wrong way to put it. But you most certainly have to address the fact that you said that this thing was going to happen, and you were very mean to people who didn't believe you that this thing was going to happen. And then that thing didn't happen. You have to at least be able to come out and say, you know what? What I thought was going to happen did not happen. Conor McGregor did not, and I'm going to give him, listen, if Robin's listening, like, I'm going to write the script. This is the script that needs to be read because this is how I feel about it, right? Because I don't think, I didn't sit there and say Robin Black is wrong and all this kind of stuff as it was happening. So that's the problem with what Patrick Wyman did. Patrick Wyman, who works with Heavy Hands Podcast, he also does other shit.
Yep.
Extraordinarily talented man.
Yeah.
Very well spoken. He's a PhD, very, very well written. He wrote a big article and called out Robin Black in the article after the fact. But what he did is after the fact. Okay? Put a little asterisk next to that. Because before the fight happened, here's what you saw. People who were afraid that Robin Black was actually right.
Sure.
People who were afraid that Robin Black was actually right, that Conor was going to come in and change the game. So it wasn't until after the fight happened where not only did Conor lose, but he didn't bring anything unique to boxing except maybe a hammer fist to the back of the head.
Yeah.
Other than that, he didn't bring anything unique into boxing.
He didn't change the game.
He didn't change anything, right? But that's when everybody said, oh, yeah, Robin Black is so fucking stupid. Yeah, good job on waiting until after the fight happened to call him out on this thing.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Call him out before.
Yeah.
Call him out before. Ride that chain. If you really thought that it was that stupid, if you really thought, like Patrick Wyman, if Patrick Wyman truly believed that Conor had no way of changing the game, he would have written that article 3 days before the fight happened.
Right.
Where he's calling out Robin and all of his stuff. He'd have written it 3 days before. There's a reason why he waited for the next day. There's a reason for that.
Well, yeah, he was waiting to just make sure that Robert Black wasn't right. But here's the reality, man. And here's the reality. Even if Robin Black would have been right, he wouldn't have been fucking right.
Okay, so here's the second tier to this. So I'm writing the script here, right? Here's the script. Very, very simple script. Conor did not change the game. Okay? Throughout the process, I said that was going to happen. It didn't happen. And I think in the process of that, I lacked some humility, and I'm sorry for that. Okay? But I do want to make a counterpoint and say that while the game of boxing isn't changed right now, a lot of people believe it will never change, and I think that's naive thinking. I think that boxing will be going through a revolution in the next decade or something. You can still hold on to that thing that you're holding on to, right? And still making this opinion that, hey, you know what? It didn't happen here, but at the end of the day, I still truly believe that this thing is going to happen. Conor just wasn't the guy to do it, and that's my bad. You can still hold on to that, right? But you need to address the fact that you were unequivocally wrong. I mean, you were wrong. In no way were you right.
Right.
Nothing about anything.
Right. Well, that's just a heavy presumption, too. Listen, had Conor came out and caught Floyd with the left hand and knocked him out, it still doesn't mean that he changed boxing.
Yeah.
The boxing is a historic combat sport, man. There's been a lot of... Now, listen, Boxing is constantly changing. Lomachenko is changing boxing. Floyd changed boxing. Boxing, like anything, just like MMA, is constantly evolving. There's always new wrinkles being added. But to say that like some guy from MMA is going to come in and do some Bruce Lee shit, as much as I love that fucking line, it's just not accurate. And for the record, too, and I have no idea about this, so I'm just completely asking, but these fucking guys who have... Does Robin Black have any actual history in fighting?
Fighting, yes.
In actual like boxing or
MMA.
kickboxing and MMA?
Yes, he has had professional MMA fights.
But like how many though? Like,
not necessarily that many, but he's also then. But Greg Jackson hasn't had any.
Yeah, but he's grappled a lot though, right?
But I'm just saying.
Extensively.
But so has Robin. I think Robin is still. He's been in a gym for probably 20 plus years, and he rolls every week, and
fair enough,
he's done breakdowns. Well, because the reason why I even got defensive right there is because a lot of people drew this line that like. Even Robin did it. He did it to Patrick Wyman, where he said, why don't we talk in a couple days, and why don't you go actually fight? Right? Basically implying that he didn't understand what he was talking about because he's never fought. And I'm like, well, fucking Greg Jackson's never fought either.
Right.
So,
right.
And I would take Greg Jackson's opinion over every single person in this room. Every single person who's in this Twitter thing, I would value their opinion over more. And the only reason why he is where he is because of coaching. So
yeah, but that being said, Greg Jackson has Mike Winklejohn, who was a fucking striking coach, who was a good fucking... I don't know if you learn how to throw them fucking things. Like the sweet science. I don't know if you could be a very good boxing coach without having ever fucking boxed and like put them gloves on like...
Freddie Roach?
Yeah, but Freddie boxed. How do you think he got all fucking scatterbrained like that?
I know, but Freddie Roach was not a professional boxer.
Yeah, but he boxed like he laced up the gloves and went in there and did it. I guess. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be I'm not saying you have to be good. I'm just saying that I think you have got to go through I think you can only learn so much by looking at film.
I would bet
studying
a large amount of money that anybody who's doing any type of like anyone who's in the spotlight of doing commentary within MMA or within boxing. Has boxed. I'm sure Robin Black has boxed. I mean, I'm sure he's boxed several times.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure he's boxed hundreds of times.
I have no
You know
idea.
what I mean? Like, if he's trained MMA, you've probably put on boxing gloves and.
I guess that's
You
true.
know what I mean?
I guess anybody could train. Doesn't mean you can explain it or whatever.
So I mean that's I know that Freddie Roach boxed, but as far as I'm aware, he didn't. Google that while I'm talking to make sure that I'm right. That Freddie Roach was never a professional boxer.
I'm pretty sure he was, man. I mean, I think that's why he's all fucking funny brained.
Funny brained. Is Freddie Roach funny brained?
What the fuck? Have you ever seen that dude talk?
Freddie Roach is training GSP. Did you know that? Here, talk on the microphone.
Oh,
Freddie Roach is training GSP right now.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. His boxing will still be shite.
Yeah, why
people always talk their mouth out his jab? Man, fuck GSP's jab.
Well, let's talk about Michael Bisping GSP. We haven't talked about this yet, and that fight is like done. It is done. It is booked. It is at UFC 217.
When is that?
UFC 217. I know it's at MSG, but I don't know.
November.
Probably.
November, I think.
That would make sense.
All right, let's see here. Just for the. Oh yeah, he was a real boxer, man. He had a 53 fights.
Holy
40 wins, 40 or well, wait a minute, 40 wins, 15 by KO. 13 losses.
I wonder who I'm thinking of.
So yeah, he's actually been around a little bit. But I don't know, whatever. I guess some of these guys just get on there and they're fucking shooting their mouth off about all this shit.
He was most certainly a professional boxer.
And yeah, don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
He lost his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights were 5 losses and 1 win.
Well, there you go. That's how he ended up fucking talking the way he does. We love you, Freddie.
So obviously it's not Freddie Roach. Who, by the way,
love you,
if Keith is listening to this or Blake is listening to this, I'm gonna get a text message that says like, dude, Freddie Roach boxed like 60 or whatever, and they're not going to realize that because Keith does it all the time. We're on the breakdown, and I'll say something, or Sean will say something, and we haven't fact checked it, and we'll say it, and he'll text me and be like, dude, you know that this thing happened. I'll be like, Keith, keep listening.
Just calm down.
And then 3 minutes later, I fact check it. You know what I mean? I try to fact check in real time if I can. So I wonder who I'm thinking of. Not Freddie Roach. Who am I thinking of? Who is another? If someone's listening to this, you can think of a good boxing, like a famous boxing coach that hasn't had professional fights. I know that he's out there.
Well, I'm sure there are some like that. I just have a hard time.
But I'm not talking low level. I'm talking a high level boxing coach.
Sure.
I'm sure hasn't had professional.
I'm
fights.
sure that there, throughout the course of time, there's been some guys out there that didn't fight that ended up being good
but
coaches.
it's still rare, obviously.
Yeah.
But the other thing is,
you have no more being in the den yourself.
You have great boxers who I don't think would ever make good coaches.
That's true too.
And where you see this a lot is football.
Yeah.
Really good football players do not generally turn into really good coaches.
Yeah.
It's usually guys who kind of fizzled out in college who become some of the greatest. How many fucking downs has Belichick played?
That's true. I feel like that's apples to oranges.
True, but it really only seems like in football. In football, for some reason, man, the better the player, the worse of a coach.
Definitely.
It's like if you were a shitty high school player, like you're probably going to make a great coach. Yeah. I don't know why that is.
Right.
Fighting is definitely different.
Yeah, for sure. I think you just got to kind of understand what it's like and have been in there. Like especially with the striking arts, man. Especially with the striking arts, like with grappling and shit like that. You can fucking watch enough Gracie breakdown tutorials that maybe you could fucking
sure
mount and guard and the whole nine.
So what is your opinion of GSP Bisping in a nutshell?
Man, at this point I'm just kind of like meh. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Ever since fucking Bisping, let's just be honest, ever since he got lucky against Luke Rockhold, I know there's no such thing as a lucky punch. He threw it, he meant to land it, Luke got lazy or whatever the case may be. I fucking still say that if Luke Rockhold and Michael Bisping fight 100 times, 99 times Luke bust that ass. I think if they fought tomorrow, Luke could beat his ass.
My only disagreement with that is that if that were true, Luke Rockhold would have fought since then.
Well, he's been hurt, and he's fighting soon.
Has he?
Well, I mean, listen, we got to take his word for it. He says he's hurt.
Yeah, but he's been injured, then he got injured again, then he got injured again, then he got injured again. It's just like, at some point, like...
The AKA guys are kind of known for getting injured.
It is true, but because I hear that a lot. That's a big narrative. That's not like a unique narrative. I mean, it's like, obviously people... Because it's probably true. So, but Bisping kind of landed a shot that he probably wouldn't land normally.
Yeah, but so here's just my point, kind of like tying into the whole Bisping fight. I'm sorry, the GSP fight. I haven't really gave too much of a shit about the middleweight division since Bisping hijacked it. He got lucky and took it, and then we went off on this date with Dan Henderson where I was rooting for Dan to get the knockout. He didn't get that, came close, but he didn't get the knockout. So, Bisping's one title defense of the middleweight belt has been against Dan Henderson, who has since retired.
He had one more.
Huh?
Didn't he have one more?
No, I don't think so.
He hasn't fought since Henderson?
No,
Fuck me.
Nope.
It's like...
Because he got hurt or some shit like that, too, man. They might have had something set up, and then they started doing this whole GSP thing. So, just to answer your question quickly, ever since he won it, I haven't been hyped on the title, and now he's finally defending the belt against, he still hasn't really defended the belt against a fucking natural contender at 85. This is the division of the Jacares and the Luke Rockholds and the Yoel Romeros, and he's defended the belt twice in 2 years against fucking Dan Henderson.
Well, I was
goddamn GSP.
My thing is cue all the fucks who are saying, well, at least he has one more title defense than Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor makes more money with his fucking pinky toe than Bisping. And Bisping, probably, of all the people in the UFC, probably makes more money than most of the people. Conor McGregor makes more money in his left pinky toe than Bisping will ever make in his entire career, all added up together, multiplied by a couple.
Listen, man, I'm so sick.
It's different.
I'm so sick and tired of the Conor McGregor argument. Just get over it. That's like the LeBron James thing.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
Like saying LeBron James gets paid $500 million. Man, he's LeBron.
Get the fuck over it, man.
You're not, man. Yeah, it's stupid to complain about.
He has not
fought
fought since UFC 204.
That's what I thought.
And he will then not fight again until UFC 217, which means there will be 13 pay-per-views in between his last fight. And he has only defended his belt against a 45-year-old.
Well, like I said,
Dan Henderson?
Dan Henderson's been on the beach since
Or is Dan Henderson
fight.
50?
He's like 46 or 47, I think.
How old
maybe.
is that dude?
I don't know, man.
He's now 47, so he was 46.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it's a little hard to get excited about that fight. That fight should be okay
It hasn't fought since
aesthetically.
October of 2016, which I guess isn't that bad. It'll be basically a year.
Yeah,
that's normal.
Yeah,
that's actually not that bad.
It's just
weird. It's weird that that's
GSP.
your 2 title fights.
Yeah, right.
GSP hasn't fought in 5 years,
and he's never
looks fat.
He's never fought at middleweight his whole career.
Never fought, but he can't make welterweight anymore.
Fair enough, but like
now that he's off that juice,
that doesn't
man.
mean that he'll be any good at 85. I mean, like who knows what he's. It's a very strange fight, man. I'm slightly interested, but I'm not fucking jumping out of my skin.
GSP was definitely on steroids, right?
Listen,
like he was definitely on steroids. That's why he looked the way he did. That's why he was as good as he was.
I mean,
that's
listen,
why he took 4 years off
with the whole thing,
and that's why he's fat. Like he definitely was on steroids
with the whole thing, which would be terribly ironic because of all of his reason for leaving.
Sure,
is that he wanted the sport cleaned up and shit. But with having
and he's coming back when the sport is as dirty as it's ever been.
Well, it's also one people could say that it's supposedly as most stringent as it's ever been too with USADA. So
sure,
I mean possibly. But listen, after all the shit happened with John Jones, I listened to Chael Sonnen's podcast, and I will give Chael this.
I love Chael.
Nobody's more fucking honest about being a cheating cocksucker than Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen's like, listen, I was fucking more juiced up than Tropicana, and John Jones pushed me around like a Mack truck pushing a Volvo, so I knew he was on steroids then. But listen, Chael Sonnen's like, look, I can tell when a guy takes his shirt off because certain human men are only supposed to look a certain way. They don't look like Brock Lesnar. They look like Daniel Cormier. He looks like he's in good shape. Yeah, I think Chael said he's got a book coming out called The 4-Pack because he's like, if you're a man over 35 or over 30 and you're in tremendous shape, you should have a nice little 4-pack. But you probably shouldn't have a 6-pack. If you have a 6-pack, it's probably because you're fucking cheating. Like you're either a fucking meth fiend or you're juicing, man. The body don't look like that. And you look at Daniel Cormier and you look at John Jones. So in that regard. Listen, when you look at old pictures of GSP, the fucking dude, and this isn't to say that everybody with an extremely chiseled body is on steroids, but listen, how many of those pricks didn't end up on steroids? I mean, a lot of guys that you say, fuck, look at him, bigger than shit, they end up pissing hot one time or another.
Yep.
So I think there's something to be said for that. And listen, people have been complaining about that. There have been rumors about GSP being on steroid for years. I'm not really willing to slander the poor prick like that, but one could argue once he got knocked out by Sarah that he decided to beef up on the muscle and start wrestling a little more, prevent the old knockout punch from happening. So it wouldn't surprise me.
This is a good segue into talking about people who are kind of deemed as being boring fighters. So I talked about it in the Fight Opinion yesterday. I got into a rant about Colby Covington. I think Colby Covington is the best fighter at welterweight, and this is my opinion. I think he's the best fighter at welterweight as far as getting wins is concerned. I think he would have a lot of trouble beating Woodley because of the size, but I think if somebody can get in there and beat Woodley, then I think he'll walk through whoever that person is. And of course, when I said walk through, the instant response I got was, oh, by walk through, you mean wrestle fuck or whatever, right? Like, everybody hates Colby Covington. And it's not just because he's also pretty annoying on social media, but people just don't like him because
they don't like his fighting style.
They don't like his style. And it leads to a good question. I mean, these guys who are kind of deemed as boring fighters, the UFC, Dana White has come out after fights and be like, that was boring. Right. That was awful. First of all, I mean, do you think that he should be doing that? Not that he can or not that he whatever. Like, do you think he should? Do you think like someone in his position with the UFC should be furthering the boring fighter narrative?
Should he be doing it? Probably not. Do I enjoy that he does? Absolutely.
Of course.
Because
you just like the chaos.
Well, 9 times out of 10, I agree with him, if I'm being honest with you. Usually when he comes out, and says a fight was boring. I'm like, yep, I fucking thought so, too. I was nodding off on the couch.
Woodley Thompson 2, Woodley Damian Maia, any Covington fight, basically.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I hate to be
Jeremy Kennedy's last fight with Kyle Bochniak. I'm just trying to think of fights that have been pretty recent that are kind of deemed as being boring.
Sure.
See, I draw a complete opposite line.
Sure. I mean, it depends. Not every match that's heavy on grappling is going to be a boring fight, by no stretch.
I think anytime another person is dominating, I'm not bored by that.
Right. I find the stallers boring. I think if you're stalling and you're just holding each other and that shit gets boring.
Get excited for GSP.
Well, there you go, right? That's what I mean.
That is like his MO.
The stall king, man. And there's nothing exciting about that. That's what makes MMA exciting is that there's no stalling, there's no timeouts, there's no bleeps of the fucking ref's whistle. It's go, 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 go. And if you can't keep up with that pace, then you get swallowed. And that's what makes it exciting. I don't like the holding on the fence. I don't like getting a takedown and burying my forehead into your chest. And, of course, you can't submit me from there, but I can't even barely hit you or hurt you. I'm just going to be able to control and hold you here.
Another great segue, and then we'll finish up this one, but let's segue into this too, talk about point deductions. It's something that I think we've actually kind of talked about before in one of our earliest episodes. We kind of briefly talked about it because we had just gotten away from a card where there's a whole bunch of infractions. But again, we saw it yesterday in the Struve-Volkov fight. So when I say yesterday, if you're listening to this way after the fact, UFC Rotterdam was yesterday. It's now Sunday.
Sure.
I'm uploading this Monday or Tuesday or something. I don't remember.
Okay.
But anyway, so the UFC Rotterdam, Struve fought Volkov, and they both were poking each other in the eyes several times.
Yep.
I mean, it was 4 times or something. In another fight, I saw a whole bunch of cage grabs and the warnings and the slapping off the hands, that kind of thing. So because you're talking about stalling and grabbing the cage and shit, grabbing the cage gives you a technical advantage.
A good one.
It is controlling the position of the person who is on top of you, right, or below you, whatever it is, whatever your situation is. Or if you're starting to get taken down, you grab that cage.
Right.
If you grab that cage just a little bit when someone's trying to take you down, you could literally do that, get on their back and choke them out, right? Because they're now off balance because you grab the cage, you get behind them. I mean, you can dramatically change the outcome of a fight with a tiny little fence grab.
Sure.
Tiny little fence grab.
Tiny little eye poke.
First of all, why don't we just make the cages like chicken wire?
Where you can't,
really thin to where you can't grab it.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Because you can't see in
People
there?
are afraid of change. Yeah, maybe that could be a thing.
Can't see inside the cage, maybe?
Possibly.
Make it clear. But it's 2017. Do something.
Listen.
There's something you can do that would be, adequate.
Listen, this is what you should do.
Make it clear chicken wire.
Just listen. Enforce the rules properly.
See, there you go. This is the real question.
And this is what I would do, man. So right, you have eye pokes, which are completely fucking. First off, can completely stop a fight like that immediately on the first one if it's good enough or deep enough. You've got fence grabs, which can completely alter. If I'm if I'm Damian Maia and you're Tyron Woodley, and all I need is to drag your ass down one time, and I got this fucking fight in the bag, and I almost got you down, and you grab that fence for a split second, but it prevents me from getting you down, and then you mollywop the fuck out of me. Well, that changed the whole fucking fight.
Yeah.
You literally cheated and won.
Nut taps.
Kicking
Take
the nuts.
the wind out of you, man.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of little minor. So this is what I would do, man. This is what I would do. Because what we need is a standard.
If I were a UFC fighter, every single fight, I would grab the fence probably twice.
Yep.
I would poke an eye once.
Yep.
And I would nut tap probably twice.
Right. And so
because I know that at no point is anything ever going to happen to me.
And so here's the deal.
And I could use all those things to change the fight.
With what I'm about to say, you would no longer have that thesis, that idea. Here's what I would do, man. I'd give it the old baseball strategy. 3 strikes, you're out. Okay? So I don't give a fuck if you poke him in the eye, if you grab the fence, if you fucking... I don't give a shit what it is that you do. You get 3 of them. So you grab the fence once, that's strike 1. If it's a poke in the eye, that's strike 1. You didn't mean to do it? I don't give a shit. That's strike 1. I don't care what it is. And all of them would go together. So if I accidentally poked you in the eye in round 1, my bad. And if towards the end of round 1, I accidentally grabbed the fence, I don't give a fuck. That's strike 2. You do anything else, you're losing the point. Period. And so on and so forth. So, if you come out for round 2, if you grab that fence again, the action gets stopped. You get a fucking point deducted. You guys get started again.
And you could literally have it be a strike 1, strike 2, strike 3 system.
No, that's exactly what I mean.
You could literally have like a on the fucking on the Megatron or on the side of the desk. You could literally hold up an X,
and how is that?
And it sits on the front.
And how is that not fair? Listen, bro,
you've
got fair. 2 strikes.
If you do something
at that
3
point,
times,
you fucking deserve to take the point away, bro.
Even if they're accidents, man.
Yeah, even if they're accidents, you get 2 accidents, man.
Because that's the thing is, it's saying, okay, If I'm driving down the road, because people go, well, you can't take a point away if someone just grazes their hand across the fence, whatever it is.
Fair enough.
So first of all, you got to be a ref and you got to be able to understand what's a grazing and what's
a grab.
What's a grab? Like you got to be able to do that,
Yeah.
right? People go, but listen, like it's instinctual. You just grab the fence. Check it out. If right now, okay, I'm driving down the road, okay, and I am stopped at a stoplight,
right,
and my foot slips off the brake, and I go into the intersection and I run a red light and I get pulled over, okay. I'm still getting a ticket.
Yeah. Can't say it's instinctual.
You can't say, well, my foot slipped off the brake.
Right.
Okay,
right.
great. You ran a red light.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're either still going to get a ticket, or if somebody rams into me because my foot slipped off and I go forward into an intersection and get hit, guess what? Still got into a car accident. My insurance is still going up. All the accidents, it's irrelevant.
Connor could have reached around and thunder kicked Floyd right in his fucking face when he had him bent over.
Why didn't he
instinctually, and it would have cost him fucking $10 million instinctual dollars.
So beat his ass in the face.
Yeah, instinctual my fucking nutsack, man. These are the rules. If grabbing the fence is instinctual, you're an instinctual cheater.
Yes.
Because you're not allowed to do that,
then
man.
Don't instinctually do it.
Yeah.
Then learn it.
And I do understand the whole idea of I by no means trained in MMA extensively or nothing, but I've been to a few fucking classes. I have randomly sparred and boxed with a few people. I get that, throwing that fucking hand out, that your left or your right hand, your jab hand, is a distance gauger.
Distance,
yeah, I get it, man. That you need that distance to know when to land the big one, but you got to start fucking filling with your knuckles instead of with your fingertips, You just have to figure out a way around it. You can't fucking do that.
See, I don't even necessarily mind but here's the problem, right? One eye poke can dramatically change the outcome of a fight.
For sure.
Fuck, man, you've eye poked me twice?
Yep.
And now you still get a third time to do it? I mean,
yep. But I mean, listen, you have to.
What are you
going to
do?
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
I don't think that you penalize them on the first time because that is fucked up. Because it could be an accident and it could be one of those things where you're not actually harmed. I've seen a lot of shit like that.
Certainly is not, and this is kind of where this conversation is ending, which is, you're probably going to be the first one to admit this. There is no perfect solution. If you do it on the first time, the referee is now changing the outcome of a fight, right? If you do it on the third time, then you're allowing someone to do something twice that they shouldn't be able to do once,
right?
But if you do it on the second time, I don't know. It is weird.
Listen, what we got right now is people trying to judge intent. You'll have people, well, if he meant to poke him in the eye, well, what the fuck does that mean?
How do you know if he meant to?
How on earth would you ever know whether he meant it unless he fucking gives him the old fucking the Three Stooges fucking number?
Like he puts his head back and just
he fucking jams him right in there. You know what I mean? Of course, you're never gonna know whether he meant to fucking kick the guy. Or the same thing with a nut kick, right? I can make it look like I'm going for an inside leg kick and graze your fucking cup real easily. Like how would you know whether I meant to kick you in the jewels? And of course, it's like these people that are like you always meet people like, I ain't a snitch, man. I never snitch. Nobody claims to be a snitch in the beginning. Nobody's going to go, yeah, I meant to kick him in the nuts. Like, everybody goes, oops, my bad. Like, even if John Jones does mean to poke you in the eyeball when he's sticking those hands out there, he still acts like he didn't mean to do it every fucking time.
Yep. Agreed, man.
So.
Crazy. I mean,
3 strikes, you're out, man. I feel like that's just the only way we can do it. And then that way, for the people that do make a mistake, listen, you get fucking 2.
Let's look ahead a little bit. So obviously we looked ahead very slightly to UFC 217. I'm not going to look at the rest of the card because I don't really care as of right now. I'll care as we're getting closer. But Let's talk about UFC 215. Let's do a little bit of a preview here. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. I want you to give the fights a rating. Okay, we'll rate them in bottle caps. 1 bottle cap is a bad fight. 5 bottle caps is a good fight. And anywhere in between. All right.
So 5 bottle caps is a great fight.
5 bottle caps is a fantastic fight.
Gotcha. Okay. 1 to 5 bottle caps.
All right. So we got Demetrius Johnson and Ray Borg.
Can we do halves?
Sure.
2.5.
2.5. Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw.
4.
My fucking point exactly.
4.5.
You bitches.
Yeah,
all right.
4.5.
Amanda Nunes, Shevchenko.
That's a fun one, man. I'm not going to get all fucking, I love these people who give women, I love women's MMA. I love to see the girls do their thing. It's a good fight. I would say 3 bottle caps.
Francis Ngannou versus anybody that they could find a replacement for last minute, which is not going to happen.
Yeah, he's gone. That would be a 4 or 5.
Five.
Listen,
Yeah, I'm gonna say 5.
So let's just, for the sake of argument, it was supposed to be JDS.
Yep.
That would have been, if I'm being really fucking stingy with him, a 4.5 bottle capper.
I'm saying
Just because it's not a championship fight, but that would have been a banger.
I'm saying a full 5 just because I really want to see where this guy's going.
Yeah.
I just want to see like what are we
bummer.
witnessing, man? Are
Listen,
we witnessing history? Are we witnessing?
Side note: this card needed that. That hurt this fucking card in a major way.
RDA Neil Magny.
I don't give a shit. This is a 2. I don't like neither one of these pricks, to be honest with you. I'm rooting for Neil Magny in that fucking fight.
Gilbert Melendez, Jeremy Stevens.
Good fight. This is a 4 bottle capper. This is going to be. I mean, not that any of them pricks are on a title shot, but
Wilson Hayes and Henry Cejudo.
Ooh,
I like that. I didn't even know that was on here.
I didn't know that one was here either. That's a nice one, man.
I hope Sherdog is not misleading me.
Yeah, I hope not.
I hate Sherdog.
Wilson Hayes and Henry Cejudo.
That's because Tapology doesn't have an app, so I have to use Sherdog.
That's a really, really closely contested fight.
I like
too.
it.
That's fun. I'll give that a 3.5 bottle capper. Yeah. That's a good one. That's a solid fight.
Ilir Latifi, Tyson Pedro.
Ooh, that's
it's
fun
an interesting
too.
fight, man.
That's fun too.
I'm going to go all in on Ilir Latifi, but spoiler alert for the breakdown.
I kind of like Latifi in that fight too. That's a 3 bottle capper though. That's a fun fight. That should be fun.
Sarah McMahon versus Caitlin Vieira.
I'm not too particular.
I like Sarah McMahon a lot.
Yeah, I like Sarah McMahon. Who is the Caitlin broad?
Caitlin Vieira.
Is she a new broad?
Caitlin. Her last fight was a decision winner against Ashley Evans Smith. Before that was Kelly Fashholtz.
Okay.
She hasn't really fought anybody. I mean, this is a big step up for her. This is a big step up.
I would say this is the rebound for Sarah McMahon.
Sarah McMahon's last 2 losses were Amanda Nunes, Miesha Tate.
There you go.
Her win streak is Jessica Ai, Alexis Davis, and Gina Mazzini.
Yeah, this is food in the tank for Sarah McMahon. If you ask me.
Oh, great! Gavin Tucker, Rick Glenn. I'm going 4.
Yeah.
I think Gavin Tucker is going to be champion of the featherweight division.
You think so?
I do.
That's a lofty prediction. He's a hell of a talent.
Although now that we got the Sharapova guy,
oh yeah,
ooh, buddy.
Yeah, we should talk about that a little bit too.
Ooh, buddy, he's going to be a good featherweight. I'm excited.
He is an ugly character too.
UFC. Hold on, dear UFC, please do not put Gavin Tucker against Sharapov. Or Sharapov, or whatever his name was, the beautiful 6'1", 145er from Russia, who fights like a Yair Rodriguez who has a ground game.
Yeah,
please do not put those 2 people together. Let them both beat some people. Let them both climb up. Let these 2 guys. I think both of these guys are so awesome. Make them fight when you can have them fight as the main event on a fight night.
45.
Because you will see that. These 2 guys, just let them do their thing, please. Please let them do their thing. Do not put them... Because here's what's going to fucking happen, dude. The UFC, he's going to get a big win over against Rick Glenn. They're going to be like, oh, let's put Gavin Tucker for Sharapov and bury him on some, him on some fight night or put him on, first fight on the main card or something. And I'm like, please don't do that. Just let them exist.
They might be changing that though, man. WME might start taking a different strategy.
I don't know. They haven't done it yet, so I'm just hoping. Okay, Ashley Evans Smith doesn't even fucking matter if she's fighting. That's a 1 bottle cap.
Yep.
I didn't even tell you. Who she was fighting.
It doesn't matter.
Sarah Moraes, who is making her. She's been for a hot minute.
Yeah, Sarah Moraes.
Yeah. Her last fight was a loss against Jessica Andrade at UFC Fight Night 71.
Yep.
What? That was her. She hasn't fought since July of 2015.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It's fought in over 2 years. Well, that's the type of person you got to put Ashley Evans Smith against because Ashley Evans Smith sucks.
Yep.
Okay. Luis Henrique versus Arjan Bular.
Getting down on the card now.
Guy making his UFC debut.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Those names don't ring a whole lot of bells. I don't have any opinion there.
Ooh, this is a good fight. This guy, Cajun Johnson, you familiar with him?
Yeah. Yep.
Cajun Johnson.
He was the cat that ran that mouth at the the UFC thing not too long ago.
He spoke up about the
fighter
Reebok
contracts. Yeah, I think they had him escorted out like, excuse me, my dude.
Yep. It was Cajun Johnson and against a guy named Adriano Martins. I want Cajun Johnson to win just for that post-fight speech.
Is the Martins the Brazilian slugger guy that gets a lot of knockouts, if I'm not mistaken? There's a lot of these Martins.
Yes.
Okay, I like him. He's a beast, man. That'll be a super fun fight.
Mm-hmm.
I like Martins in that
Here's
fight,
his
too.
UFC record. submitted Darren Cruikshank, got KO'd by Cerrone.
Yep.
KO'd Juan Pug. Got a decision win over Rustam Kabalov. Knocked out Islam Makhachev.
Yes.
Lost the decision to Santos. This is a big.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a big
dog.
step up for Cajun Johnson.
Yeah, it is. Adriano Martinez is a beast, man.
Cajun Johnson got knocked out by Tae Hung Bang and then won decisions over that Zhang guy, Lai Ping Zhang.
Oh, the old Mongolian wolf.
And then the other guy was someone I'm not super familiar with.
The great Chinese hope. They tried to push him.
Chinese
They
hope.
tried to push him so hard. God bless his little Chinese heart. They wanted a Chinese star so bad.
Yeah, and let's look at his record real quick. I don't think he's done a whole lot.
Listen, man, we need a guy's.
He hasn't fought the UFC in a hot
We need
minute.
like a guy's Adam weight to get the Chinese in there.
Bro, this guy fights all the time.
Who is it?
That Zhang guy.
Oh, the
Okay, he
Mongolian
fought
wolf.
May 4th, 2017. Before that, he fought February 25th, 2017. Before that, he fought January 2nd, 2017. Before that, he fought December 10th, 2016. He fought basically every 2 months in China and just keeps knocking people out.
That goes to show you the level of
MMA in
yeah.
China versus
Wow,
anywhere
man.
else.
You know, that's
Wow.
just getting on a completely, not trying to get on a side tangent or something. But
No, you're fine.
that goes to show you the idea of have you seen these videos too, man? I've actually seen, they were talking about the Joe Rogan podcast, these videos of these like Tai Chi instructors fighting these
Oh,
MMA
my
guys.
God.
You know, I grew up taking Taekwondo, which is not really comparable to that at all. Taekwondo is actually
So
somewhat
hold
of a
on,
legitimate.
real quick. Let me explain to our listeners. So he's referring to. So there's two things. One, there's videos of these guys doing like someone's running at them and they stick their hand out
Sure.
and they push them over to the side and all of a sudden the guys fall over.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or they walk up to him and the guy tries to punch. He moves his arm and he taps him on the neck and he crumbles down to the ground.
Sure.
So those guys over the years have basically gotten into actual like MMA fights. There was one in China, which is probably the one you're thinking of because I'm thinking of the same one, and where they've actually gotten into fights where it's MMA rules continue.
Right. Yeah. Well, they just, you know, I don't know who challenged who, but at some point, you know, people kind of started to call bullshit on these martial arts because these guys charge money.
And these MMA fighters are going, hey,
That doesn't
if
work.
this is real,
Right.
disrupt my energy.
Yeah,
disrupt my energy.
There you
Let's
go,
do it.
man. And listen, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's almost kind of sad. These fucking Tai Chi instructors and shit. That MMA guy comes in there, and, you know, walks right up and pieces him up with a 1-2 and drops him and kind of starts beating the shit out of this
Oh
guy.
my God. There's a video of a guy, one of those guys. He was an American, or is an American, and it's so funny. He's sitting on the ground like in like a meditative pose, and he's apparently it was his energy would keep you from hitting him.
Jesus Christ.
So they did a whole bunch of study, like a whole bunch of things where the guys were trying to slap him, So finally he agreed to let just like a person who wasn't a part of his gym do it, like someone like from the news, or not one from the news, but it was from something, from some gym or something,
Yeah,
some MMA
somebody
gym or
that wasn't going to play with him.
And all it was like you can slap him, right? If you can slap him, then we'll disprove it. So he's like sitting in this meditative pose, and he's like going down. He's like centering, you know, doing that thing where his hands are in front of him in the pray position. You know, he's like centering himself. He's like putting his hands up. the guy sitting across from him, he would like kind of nod his head, or like one of the students to be like, okay, you can try to hit him now. And he's like getting in that meditative pose, and all of a sudden the guy just fucking slaps the shit out of him.
Shit out of him.
And he like falls over and he gets back up and he's like, oh, I couldn't focus. And he gets back into it. And he's like, and then they're like, okay, try again. Just slap the shit out of him.
You know, so but
hilarious.
Back to the original point about the Chinese MMA scene, I think there's a little bit of that there. I think that some of those cats have gotten kind of caught up in this shit that's just not a really effective martial art. You know, and it's taking them a while to rebuild with what actually works in a real life fight scenario. Because you would think China would be able to breed some serious martial artists, man. But, you know, come to find out, they did that season of The Ultimate Fighter in China. They put a lot of work into China, and the level of talent in MMA in China fucking sucks, Jack.
There is a video, and I can't. It's gonna bother me because I won't be able to find it. It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and it was like a guy who was going to break the world record for snapping something. It wasn't boards; it was something else. Trying to snap something happened. It was on the news, so you have the news, and they're trying to break it. They're like, you know, this is the guy from this, and it was one of those like Tai Chi guys or whatever.
Sure.
And he was like, all right, you know, he's gonna start. He goes down. There's all these boards lined up, and it's like lined up for whatever people are holding them. He's going down one at a time to chop them in half as many as he can in 30 seconds. He does not break a single board. He goes down the entire chain, hit, move to the next board, hit, move to the next board, hit, nothing breaks. It's the funniest thing because he's so serious about it. He gets to the end, his hand is like bloody and
what an idiot, man. That whole idea of the breaking boards things is so ridiculous too, man. It's such a money grab. I mean, go try to break a 2x4, you idiots. You're not breaking.
You
boards.
Can't do it, man.
Yeah, you're not breaking real boards. You're breaking like little plywood that's clearly easy to break. So
yeah,
big up to the Mongolian Wolf though. He gave it a whirl. I imagine China will eventually produce some sort of a MMA superstar.
Yeah, they were trying, man.
Yeah,
the last fight was Mitch Clark, Alex White, which actually is a good fight if you're familiar with those guys.
Yeah, listen, all due respect, the Mongolian Wolf was okay. China's not there yet. The talent's not there yet.
All right. I mean, that's pretty much all for me. I mean, I guess there is one more thing on here.
Okay.
I was going to segue into it.
Okay.
Before we get to that last thing, go ahead and plug your Twitter, plug your other show. These fucks don't listen all the way to the end, so we're going to make them listen to it now.
Just Kirby_MMA on Twitter. And we do the Keyboard Warriors on Wednesday night, Eastern Standard Time at 9:30.
Very cool. You can find me, of course, at Loudmouth MMA. Wherever you're listening to this podcast right now is perfectly fine with me. Go find me on social media. Just search up Loudmouth MMA on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Podcast, like I said, it's pretty much anywhere. If you're just listening to this like on a Twitter card, even that's fine. That's fine. But go subscribe to us somewhere, iTunes or Stitcher or whatever. I really enjoy doing this. Any support I can get is greatly, greatly appreciated. The last thing I want to talk about. Because I think right now, I like how all these news outlets are going. The rumored next fight for Conor McGregor is Nate Diaz. The rumored fight. You mean the only fight that like Conor McGregor's going to take? You know what I mean? Like that's not the rumored fight. That's just like it's a logical. I'm not saying it even is the next person he's going to fight, but like it's not rumored that fight's going to happen. That's the fight that makes sense given the fact that Conor McGregor doesn't give a fuck about belts. Well, he gives a fuck about winning them. It doesn't give a fuck about doing anything with them.
Right.
So, this rumor that he's going to fight Nate Diaz. Oh, it's rumored. You don't say.
Yeah.
Like, no shit.
That's really
that's
jumping
the
to
biggest.
a
That's the biggest money grab that you could possibly have at this point. Okay, so I want to kit this from a couple different angles. Okay. I'm going to lean back on my chair. I really wish I had something to drink. I really need more coffee. Go tell my wife to give me her coffee. Okay. So, number one, if Conor Diaz 3 is booked, will it be at lightweight?
Okay.
I feel like it has to be.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like it has to
be. For sure. No doubt.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If it's booked at lightweight, what happens with the fact that somebody from Ferguson or Lee is going to have an interim belt at the time?
Nothing. Who cares?
Okay.
Nothing. We'll give them an interim, and we'll do Nate Conor for the real one, and then we got 2 belts on the line, ladies and gentlemen. Belt versus belt. We all love that, don't we?
Oh, God.
I mean, that's how they're going to sell it. I think. So 2 belts is better than 1.
Well, because I mean, first of all, it's like almost because we haven't had an interim belt in a while. It seems like it's been a little minute because UFC was handing interim belts out like hotcakes for a while.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was like,
it
was like you get a belt, you get a belt, you get a belt, you get a belt.
Sure.
I mean, it was pretty. Oprah's pulling belts off from underneath seats, and
I kind of feel like we're still on that train too.
A little bit.
We're not doing it as much, but I think they still got the same idea. Yeah,
well, of course,
an extra belt's not a bad thing.
You get a belt, like let's do it.
Right.
So we kind of don't complain about it as much now because it's been a minute. But listen, spoiler alert, it doesn't mean anything. It is pointless. I mean, an interim belt is pointless.
Listen, it's
who else has an interim belt right now? Robert Whittaker.
Yeah, it
and
is.
Bisping is fighting GSP.
It is very pointless, but
because Whittaker is injured.
It does a couple things. A, it guarantees you a title shot. So there's that. It literally guarantees you a title shot.
Does it?
Well, listen. After GSP Bisping, Robert Whittaker will fight the winner of that fight. Yeah, well, listen, I don't know, but
If GSP wins, do you think GSP is fighting Robert Whittaker?
I heard that it says he has to in his contract. That's what I heard. I heard that he has to defend against Robert Whittaker if he wins. So as Robert Whittaker don't just keep getting it up the fucking ass.
See, I don't. To me, when I say an interim belt means nothing,
And they get pay-per-view points. That was the other thing I was going to say. They actually get it does count as a belt. So yeah, if you have an interim belt, you do get a taste of the pay-per-view, which means more money for the fighters. So.
Okay, that is the only thing that belt means.
Little thing, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you. I ultimately agree with you.
And I think you get a higher payout if you're considered a champion. Sure. You get a higher payout from Reebok. So basically, other than some money, it really means nothing. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed a title shot. We think it does. It doesn't. It does not.
Usually, but not always.
Yeah. That's we haven't had it yet where somebody, I don't believe, has had an interim belt and then didn't eventually fight for the title.
Well, exactly. You will eventually fight for the title, like I said. But listen, man. Here's the reality. People like GSP and Conor change the fucking rules. There's the rules, and then there's the rules if GSP wants to fight. There's the rules, and there's the rules for Conor, and it sucks.
They get to make those. If you don't like it, then that's fine. But like,
it just is what it is.
It's kind of their fucking world, and we're kind of just living in it.
It kind of boils down to this whole idea that we're having right now with the whole Nate fight. Should this fight happen by merit? Well, fuck no.
Okay, so that was kind of my next. So my next question was, what does this mean? Like, how does this fight? So for me, like it hurts the integrity quote of the UFC, but I don't even know what that means anymore. Like, what does that mean that it hurts the integrity of the UFC? You know,
I
don't really know what that means.
I know what it quote unquote means, but does anybody really care? Is it different? Listen, I'm a hardcore fan.
I just want to see you fight.
I'm a hardcore fan.
I would love that fight.
Exactly. If I'm a Tony Ferguson fan or I'm a Kevin Lee guy,
you're pissed.
Yeah, I get why you're on the opposite.
Fan, even
and I can get why maybe if you're just one of those uptight shitbirds who just like has a real hard on for the integrity of the sport, that this might burn your biscuit. I'm a hardcore fan, man.
I really love that you said "burn your biscuit."
Yeah, nobody likes a burnt biscuit.
That's a good phrase.
Nobody likes a burnt biscuit.
No, in fact, I like mine undercooked. Like if I can have an undercooked biscuit, a little doughy. Like I really prefer them when they're doughy. Like when you have a biscuit and the bottom of it's burnt.
Yeah,
like
fucking ruins.
Set the world on fire, man. Like that's it. I'm done.
Just
like you can't have a burnt bottom of a biscuit.
Burn the whole kitchen down.
Burn your biscuit. I'm 100% using that.
Burn the kitchen down, son. So
listeners, start tracking the amount of times I say "burn your biscuit" from now until the next time Fred and I record.
It's the drinking game.
Every episode.
So I don't know, man. I don't know really what else you would do with Conor at this point. I mean, shit, especially if Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee are going to fight. I mean, listen, you know what fight I want to see? Let's address the fucking elephant in the room. We all want to see the Khabib fight, right? Conor said he'd fight him in Russia. That makes my fucking dick hard.
Yeah.
I'd love for that fight to come to fruition. But, fucking Khabib's in the win. He's not going to be ready. Kevin Lee and fucking Tony Ferguson are fighting each other for an interim belt. All you fucking crybabies out there, what do you want? What are we going to do? Do we want to see Conor fucking fight and defend his belt? You can't have both ways. Well, he shouldn't be defending it against Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz don't deserve it. Go fuck yourself. Because here's the truth, too, man. Here's the reality. Does Nate Diaz deserve a title shot? No. Can he compete in that fucking space, though? Absolutely. If you think that fucking Nate can't beat Conor, you're an idiot. And if you think that Nate couldn't beat Conor and then beat the winner or whoever the fuck Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee is, you're an idiot there, too. Nate can definitely be in that discussion. So it's not like you're fucking, going way down the ladder and getting fucking Joe Blow Tom Jerkoff so that Conor can look good against him. I mean,
right.
Nate Diaz is still, and especially if you make him cut to 55, I don't remember what fucking podcast it was on, but we looked at Nate's record at 55. It's not as horrible as people think. He got ragdolled at 70 by Rory McDonald and by Dong Young Kim, but he's not a 7 here.
He got fucked by RDA at 150, right?
He did get fucked by RDA, and then he's got the
Cerrone.
No, he beat the shit out of Cerrone. That's the point. Yeah. Nate Diaz's record at 55 is not horrible.
Well, and also here's the big thing.
He did take a beating by RDA.
Styles make matches.
For sure.
Styles make matches. Conor McGregor, for anyone who's like who tried to say that Conor McGregor sucks or something because of his gas tank, So I listened to this. I listened to this study one time, and I really wish I was better about it. So I'm not even going to use red and white. But basically, it was there for muscle mass. There's A tissue and B tissue.
Yeah.
People who have A tissue are going to be are the guys who are the fast twitch muscles,
right?
That also have endurance. Okay, B tissue is the faster twitch, right? But way less.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's in your genome, and that there is no changing it. So when Bisping comes out and goes, "Oh, I'm not going to do this accent." When Conor McGregor used to get on a treadmill, he's running it doesn't matter. Conor McGregor could literally run 24 hours a day for the next 6 months. When he goes in there and fights, he's going to gas out in the 4th round.
Yep.
It's how this works. It's built into his genome.
Yep.
Okay? But guess what? It's built into his genome to gas out in the 4th. It's also built into his genome to knock people out in the first fucking round all the time.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Because that is why his body is built in a way where he has this power and he has this accuracy and he has all that, but he can't make it last. So styles make fights.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, if you put let's just say, and people can disagree with me all you want. I don't give a flying fuck. You too, Fred.
Sure.
Fuck you, Fred. Everyone can disagree with me. If you took Tony Ferguson, Khabib, not going to pronounce the fuck's last name, and Nate Diaz, the hardest fight of the 3 is Nate Diaz. Period. Hardest fight is Nate Diaz. The second hardest fight is Tony Ferguson. The third hardest fight is Khabib. He probably knocks Khabib out within about 90 seconds. As soon as he tries to go in for a takedown, he's going to get knocked the fuck out like he basically did against Michael Johnson. He was just able to survive it because Michael Johnson hits 3 times less hard as Conor McGregor and also doesn't have the same takedown defense. Tony Ferguson is kind of a cross between the two where he can get the takedowns, he can do the good grappling, but has a chin that has been tested pretty substantially, and against a guy who really we found out wasn't that good in Lando Veneta. Right? Lando Veneta really hasn't done much other than almost knocking out Tony Ferguson and then getting this wild spinning thing as John McDessie. Right? But if you actually see his back against the wall, he doesn't do very good.
Sure.
But anyway, so all this is to say, like, Tony Ferguson is kind of a cross between the two. Nate Diaz is the perfect opponent for Conor McGregor. If you look at what he's able to do, any person who has an incredible gas tank, okay, and can withstand damage is going to put up a hell of a fight against Conor McGregor.
Sure.
Tony Ferguson gave up 200 significant strikes to RDA. If he gives up a fourth of that to Conor McGregor, he's done.
Lights out.
He's done.
No doubt.
Period. He will not be able to withstand it.
No doubt.
He's already proven that. He's shown that he can't.
Right.
So I'm just like, it mind boggles me. Do I think that the Nate Diaz fight should be happening? Of course not. I would much rather see Ferguson or Khabib because that's the fight that should be made. Probably it's Ferguson. Let's stop even saying.
But would
Khabib.
you really rather see that fight, or is it just for the? Because I mean, honestly, if I'm really like you said,
I'd rather see
the Nate Diaz fight. Right? I mean, if we're being completely honest,
if
like,
I'm being diplomatic, I'm saying I would rather see the Ferguson fight.
Sure, we're all in that boat. We all know what time it is. But like, if we all throw all that shit out the window like everybody else does, if we're UFC execs, is like, what do we want to see the most?
To be fair, though, what I really
even
want to
stylistically
see,
speaking,
what I really want to see is the Khabib fight because I want people to understand that they're wrong.
And I agree, and I disagree with you.
Yeah, you can.
I don't. That's a great fight. I don't know if I disagree that Khabib would win the fight, but I think that's a very open-ended question as to whether Conor could land that punch or whether Khabib would get Conor down. Because I tell you what. To play devil's advocate with the Khabib thing, if Conor doesn't land that punch, Khabib is going to suck his fucking soul out of him. If Khabib is able to get him down and start controlling him, Conor is going to be swimming with fucking sharks. And that is coming from a huge Conor fan.
If Khabib makes it through the first round of that fight, I'm shocked. I mean, I'm not kidding you, I am shocked. And it's not just because Michael Johnson laid him out literally with the left hand, like literally hit him with the left as he was going in. Like, that's not why I'm saying I'm shocked. I'm shocked because there is one thing that Khabib is able to do. That's it. He has one thing. Okay,
he's a specialist.
And in order to achieve that one thing, watch every fight that he has ever been in. In order to achieve that one thing, okay, he has to swoop in. Okay, he has to swoop in. Look at 2 or 3 people who have done that to Conor McGregor, and as they're doing it, what happens to them? They go the fuck to sleep. It's happened more than once.
Well, you could look at the Chad Mendez fight. when he was easily able to get Conor down. You could say that if a 145er that's fucking 4'2" can do that to Conor, then a goddamn animal Russian would be able to steamroll Conor. Now, I agree with you. Ultimately,
but there's also different. So again, there are some extenuating circumstances with the Mendes fight, aka it
cut
was
to 45.
Very, very short notice. He was still cutting down to 145.
Fair enough.
And I don't know if the cutting down to 145 is as big of an issue, but I would definitely say the short notice and going from he training for Aldo to training with someone who, listen, people can think what they want about Chad Mendes, about how small he was. It's irrelevant when you're that good of a wrestler.
Fucker was roided up too, let's be honest.
Well, and the whole point of being that small is, like, the only reason why you've been able to make it that small is because of how good of a wrestler he is.
True.
He was an incredible wrestler.
That's true. His technique is brilliant.
So
Powerhouse.
And as far as takedowns are concerned, dude, Khabib's, technique is not where Chad Mendez's is.
I disagree with that.
I do not think it is at all. I think he can get people down because it's awkward, and that combat sambo, I mean, those fuckers are just insane. And once he gets you down, listen, they're not even in the same species, Chad Mendez and Khabib. Once
you
it hits
just
the
mean
ground,
entries to the takedown.
Entries to the takedown. You're going to have much more of an issue with someone who is as high level of a wrestler as Chad Mendez was versus what Khabib is going to be bringing to the table when he shoots in.
I just feel like Khabib's awkwardness and the way he's able to chain these weird, like he does it, like you don't. has anybody not been taken down by Khabib?
It's like Damian Maia, right? When Damian Maia would do this thing, all of a sudden he's like, and he just like swoops down. He
just pulls some horse shit on you, and next thing you know, you're laying on the ground with him.
Yeah. So that is true. But even like.
But one thing about Khabib, he doesn't fight enough. Like, with all this being said, it is hard for me.
You can't really say he deserves it.
No, you don't. You don't. That's why I didn't really. I agree. That's the fight I want to see for Conor. Conor said he'd take that fight in Russia. Like I said, fucking A. Yeah. That would be just a sight to behold. But we listen, at the end of the day, Khabib's not really on the list. What you have as options are Tony and Kevin Lee. And let's be honest, neither one of them are ready. I don't want to see Tony Ferguson, Conor. It'd be a fun fight, but I don't think it does. And as bad as the box office as that would do, Kevin Lee versus Conor would do even worse right now. The only fight for Conor right now is the Trilogy. I mean, it's the only one that makes sense financially, economically.
Can we just do UFC 220 in Ireland and just call it a day?
Oh, and bring Nate there. Oh, God.
UFC 220 in a fucking soccer stadium in Ireland.
That would be a big deal, man. I don't know how the Diaz brothers would be received there, but that would be
incredible.
That would be big stuff, man. I would eventually love to see Conor in Russia, though. Like, if they could eventually somehow pull that off.
Oh my God,
that would be.
He'd get murdered. There would be a real possibility that he would literally get murdered.
Yeah, that is
like, I don't know if you could do that.
Yeah, I know. Because shit don't work the same way in Russia.
No.
And shit. Vladimir would be like, no, he's no. That mouth is no good for me.
When you say shit like shit like I'm gonna cut Aldo's head off and walk down the streets of it was RDA. Yeah. I'm gonna cut his head off and walk through the streets of Brazil. Like, you can do that shit when you're talking about Brazil. Barely. But you still can. You can't do that in Russia, man.
You come to Russia
They'll
and
fucking kill you.
You come to Russia and you threaten Fedor.
Dude,
damn it, Putin will have him snuffed. He'll have him poisoned that night.
Listen, yeah,
you can call off the Conor fight. He will not be making it.
No,
Conor gets poisoned that night.
God, you can't do that. The build up to that fight.
Oh God, it would. But can you imagine
the build up to a Khabib fight in Russia would be just.
And what about the Russian? I don't know much about this, but the Irish and the Russians, do they have is there a little feud there with them? Maybe
is there?
I don't know.
I feel like there. To be fair, like there's a feud with the Irish and
everybody.
Yeah.
Like even Northern Ireland.
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah. That's not, I wish that was a joke, and it's not.
Get a chip on their shoulder for everybody.
Oh my goodness gracious! Well, Fred, man, pleasure.
Fun as always.
We already plugged ourselves. We already
plugged. So
if there's anything else you want to say, now's the time.
I assume you're picking DJ.
Oh yeah, I guess Ray Borg.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna put some money on Ray Borg.
I think I'm picking. But I'm not picking Ray. I think that Ray Borg is gonna miss weight, just because I think it would be hilarious. I think it's gonna happen. I think he'll miss by like a half pound. I think he'll miss by half pound, or I think he'll have to pull out of the fight the day of.
And then
because
DJ doesn't get his little precious thing. Suck it, DJ. That's what you get.
I want it to happen.
I agree. Me too, man.
I shouldn't want it to happen, but just to
That's
be
what
like,
you get, DJ.
dude, as soon as it happens, I'm posting up the frog with a cup of coffee, and that's all I'm posting on Twitter that day, and just calling it a day. Because I've been preaching this shit the whole time about how dumb it was he's not doing it, and blah, 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 blah.
Sip the tea.
Ray was him this weight. But I will also be the first person when Ray Bork does make weight to be like, well, there you go.
There you go.
Win some, you lose some.
True.
I don't wish the worst for DJ. I hope it happens. He deserves to win. I would just rather see it against TJ Dillashaw.
Same.